Well, hello and welcome to Community Forum. My name is Joseph Feaster and I am the host of Community Forum. And I want to say Happy New Year, Happy Black History Month. And I'm glad to be here because I haven't done a program in over a year, so I am back. I just want to say I'm coming back with a very exciting program. I have the good fortune to have 4 persons who are running for political office throughout our district, or our county, I should say, but specifically those who are running for elective office here in Stoughton. And I want to give you an opportunity to learn about their campaigns. And quite frankly, what I've coined this session today to be is, why are you running for elective office? There's a lot going on nationally, locally. There's a lot of ferment, there's a lot of discourse, there's a lot of difficulty that's going on politically, and we have 4 courageous women who are either in elective office now or are vying for elective office positions. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to meet them all. I just will introduce them as they are, and then I'm going to give them an opportunity to speak to you directly. To my immediate right is the current Governor Council member here for District 7, Tamisha Civil. Next to her is Djuna Perkins, who is a candidate for the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. To her right is Charlene Hollins, who is running for first time for the school committee here in Stoughton. And to Charlene's right is Debra Roberts, who is a current select woman. She'll tell you how long her term has been. I think it's been at least 2 or 3 terms, but she has served in many positions and lead many things here in Stoughton. So I'm gonna give you opportunity. For once in my life, I'll be quiet and I will give you an opportunity to hear from them. So I'm gonna start with, I always like to go from statewide office to local office. So I'm gonna start with our Governor Councilwoman, Tamisha Civil, Civil. So I try to get it all in.
Yes, you're doing fine.
Tamisha, welcome to the show, all of you.
Thank you for
and as I said, I have fashioned this show to be, why do you want to run for elected office? So first, tell folks a little bit about you. Tell them a little about, because I don't know, many people may even know about what the Governor's Council office does.
Right.
And then we can get into some dialogue around that. I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to talk about what you're doing, who you are, and then we'll get into Q&A. So
Absolutely.
Starts with you, Tamisha.
Well, first I want to say thank you, Joseph, for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be amongst women and our community to educate folks as what we do in political office. As you stated, I'm currently the Governor's Council for District 2, which encompasses Stoughton, but I have over 400,000 constituents. I deal with 37 towns and cities. The Governor's Council, they advise and consent judicial nominees. They also appoint parole board members, clerk magistrates, and we do commutation pardons, and we sign off on treasury warrants. Prior to being on the Governor's Council, I served as a associate probation officer out in Stoughton District Court. So I've been very active in the community when it comes to Stoughton. I love what I do. I love to serve the people in Stoughton. And another thing that I do is I'm very active with Stoughton YMCA. Charlene and I actually were in the same organization together, and we serve and distribute food weekly to children who are going home over the weekend to distribute food to them and making sure that they have food to eat. I'm a former town representative member in Stoughton, so I live here and I love what I do, and I'm looking forward to serving Stoughton for many more years.
Well, I put you in the wrong district, so one of your governor council members is going to be angry because I put District 7, and I don't know whose that is, as opposed to putting you in District 2. But
I'm in District 2.
I'll have to find out which one of them I've offended by putting you in the area, because each one is. I also want to point out for people, some people are going to have to go look at the Constitution to really understand what the role of the governor's council's office is. It's a throwback to to earlier times, but the functions are still there, and there's a great role that you do. Djuna, why don't I go to you?
Sure. So my name is Djuna Perkins, and I am running for Norfolk County District Attorney on September 1st of 2026. It's going to be the primary, so that's an important day. I am I've been a lawyer in Massachusetts for 33 years, and all of that time I've worked with victims of crime, helping hundreds of families all over Massachusetts get through the worst days of their lives. I decided to run, so I'm a former prosecutor. I was a prosecutor for 10 years, first in the Attorney General's office under Scott Harshbarger, then in the Suffolk County District Attorney's office under Ralph Martin, where in my last position, I was the chief of the domestic violence unit. And then for the last 20 years, I've been in private practice, but still working with victims of crime in civil litigation against institutions like the Catholic Church for childhood sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and discrimination. And then for the last 13 years, I've done investigations of sexual misconduct and discrimination for schools and workplaces. So I decided to run because a couple of years ago, I started paying attention to the Karen Reed case, and I saw the district attorney put out a video that my memory and my training from my own prosecutor days was really inappropriate. But the real reason that I decided to run was because of the failure to investigate and prosecute the murder of Sandra Birchmore. To me, that was who, as you all know, the person now accused of killing her was a Stoughton police officer. And to me, that failure was a complete failure of government. And I became a lawyer to speak for people who didn't have voices, as I did not myself when I was a child. And so it really upset me. And as Tamisha said, I'm really excited and honored to be in this group, because I think that there's a tremendous energy around the country, and definitely in Massachusetts, and definitely in Norfolk County, of women kind of taking up the responsibility of governance, because we're really good at it. And so it's great, and I see it as a patriotic duty, really, especially with the national situation being the way it is.
Well, I've been married over 35 years, and so I know what in terms of the power of women. So I know how to say yes, dear.
Happy wife, happy life.
So, for sure. Well, Charlene, I see you wearing those that pink and green Alpha Kappa Alpha, aka Ski Week, for sure. So. Tell me, you're new to this office, but I read your background, so let's tell our audience about you, why you're running for the school committee here in Stoughton.
Sure. So thank you for having me on this panel. My name is Charlene Hollins, and I am currently a nurse practitioner with a doctorate degree. So I'm a little bit different than in the lawyer's perspectives. I've been a nurse for 20 years now. I started off as a registered nurse, and I am really passionate about health equity. So I have emphasized a lot of different health equity activities and implemented a project within my institution that I work for, and I'm also a college educator. The reason why I was so interested in running for the school committee, I am also a parent in Stoughton, and I have 2 kids that are in the Stoughton District Public School, and my son actually is on an IEP programming, so for special education. So that was really my drive of wanting to do that. And then the administration that we're serving right now and we're living in and talking about education and where that's going kind of made me a little scared, and wanting to be a direct impact within the community by being able to speak up on the front line, have a seat at the table, and be able to do what's right for the students. I'm very passionate about education. My grandparents always pushed me to be in education, they didn't have the same opportunity as I had. I am a first generation graduate for undergraduate, as well as my doctorate degree, and my cousins followed. So I'm very proud of that. And I want to be able to do that within the community that I serve. As you know, I do AKA stuff as well, and I serve my community by doing stuff at the YMCA. The YMCA is the underserved after school programming, and we give them meals for weekends and holidays for those that had food insecurity, which was really, really big during COVID. And that was another drive for me.
Well, just for possibly our audience who may not know about Black fraternities and sororities, I want them to be able to know that, Alpha Kappa Alpha is, in terms of your sorority, you're part of the Divine Nine. And I'm proud to sit here and say I am an Omega man, purple and gold. But I respect all of the folks in Divine Nine. We all hang out together and make sure do great things in our community. Absolutely. So therefore, I'm pleased to have you here. And now, last but not least, Deborah Roberts, who I've known and supported in her positions for Board of Selectmen and all the prior positions on the Assessors Board, and the things that she's doing as far as the MLK event that's going on here in Stoughton. So I'm going to let her tell her own story, and to introduce to some and remind others in terms of all the things that you want to do with regards to your upcoming election on February 17th.
Thank you, Joseph. I am so delighted to be here today and to see colleagues. It's funny how all of our lives have connected. First, I want to say Delta Sigma Theta. Don't leave that Divine Nine group out.
Well, my direct sisters, red and white.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not crazy.
Well, hello, my name is Deborah Roberts, and I am running for re-election to the Stoughton Select Board. I will be going into my third 3-year term. I did serve as a Board of Governor for the Old Colony YMCA, so I know exactly what you're talking about, the mission and drive of the YMCA. But currently, I talk a little bit about my background and a little bit why I want to run for re-election. Again, I've lived in the town of Stoughton for 40 years. Stoughton has been very good to me. I love Stoughton. I love the citizens of Stoughton. We have diverse backgrounds, and I love to hear all of the different thoughts and the way to get things done, because that's how you lead. You listen first. So I have an MBA, a Master's in Business Administration from Northeastern University, and finance. What Northeastern taught me was how to prepare long-term capital plan projects, compliance, finance, underwriting, which is a business core principle. And I have served on, let me take a stop back and just lay the groundwork of fiscal responsibility and humanitarianism. So I started with the SDIO, Stoughton Diversity and Inclusion Organization, as one of the co-founders, because there was a need. And as I saw the need in the town of Stoughton grow, I wanted to do more. I wanted to have a seat at the table. I wanted to talk about the diverse populations and the things that could be improved. Those are opportunities in the town of Stoughton. So not only did I start on the humanitarian side to make sure fair, equitable, equality, but on fiscal responsibility, bringing in my core skills and best practices for fiscal responsibilities. How do you build a building and be responsible and make sure the pricing is correct? What are some of the ideas of that, such as how we built, or we are planning to build, the new South Elementary School, how we built the new fire department, I call it a whole department. So served on for multiple terms the Board of Assessors in the town of Stoughton. I was the vice chair of the Capital and Financial Planning Committee for the town of Stoughton. I served on the Finance and Taxation Committee for the town of Stoughton, and also on the Cultural Council and Cedar Hill. So I have a lot of background in Stoughton because of my choice, and that's how much I love Stoughton. I want to give back to the community. And I must say that I have 3 children. All 3 children went through the Stoughton public school system and went on to college and graduated, and they are doing just fine. So the Stoughton school curriculum is just fine by me. And also, my husband was a Stoughton police officer, law enforcement officer. So, I just have information from a lot of different angles. And that's why I love Stoughton, because it is the land of opportunity. It gave me the opportunity to be the first Black board on the select board in the town of Stoughton. So I just give kudos to Stoughton. I just give back as much as I can. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, but I'm going to take some of that credit too, because I'm the one that told her to run for select board from the start. So it's her that, yeah, I wouldn't be a Q if I didn't raise that. But thank all 4 of you for that. So let me drill down a little bit, because I've done some, I really want folks to get a real sense of where your thinking is, et cetera. And Tamisha, I've looked at, and some of your statements have made exactly as you look at trying, as you know, because I'm with the Mass Black Lawyers Association, and I'm looking at as I call it, Judicial Advocacy Committee, because I'm looking at appointments and getting folks on the bench, one who look like me, think like me, et cetera. And that's an important role that you play, because it goes to the judicial nominating, folks apply, judicial nominating committee, then to the governor's council, the governor's lawyers, chief counsel. Governor makes a recommendation, it then comes to you, the governor's council office, and you'll vote to either up or down on the candidates that come before you. You've stated certain types of things that you look for in any type of judicial nominee. One is reproductive rights, restorative justice, domestic violence, substance misuse. Talk about the thinking that you put into that, and anything else that you talk about for the myriad of responsibilities that you have as a governor council member.
Thank you for that question. First, I want to say that we have to understand the body of governor's council. As Deborah stated, she's the first woman of color that has ever been a select woman. But when I'm looking at the position that I'm in now, I'm the first woman of color in my district since the establishment of the Governor's Council, 1790. So you're talking about a body of people which consists of 8 councils, and there's never been a woman of color until last election, which was 2024, right? And when you look at a body that is not diverse, that is not catered to the community that they're serving, it's kind of difficult to make sure that you have a plethora of judges with different backgrounds. So I was privileged enough to work for the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, as well as the Massachusetts Probation Office, where I was able to interact with all walks of life. White, black, brown, purple, red, whatever. I was privileged to deal with people and understand what it means to live as a human being. I was able to understand that domestic violence does not discriminate. It comes in all shapes and sizes. It's financial, it's mental, it's religious, it's spiritual, it's mental. And having that sense of understanding and dealing with people who have substance abuse issue, and which we need to recognize it's a disease. When you go through a vetting process with a judicial nominee, it's important for me to use my experience that I have with the community that actually have issues when they come into court. having that firsthand experience with people who really go through in and out of the system, it's important for me to sit down with the nominee and ask them these questions that I actually sit down with clients and and ask them, so what's going on? What can we do to help? So I would say prior to me being on the Governor's Council, I was working for more than a decade in a trial court. And you see different judges come in and out. Some changes your life for good, some changes your life for bad, because they really don't understand that empathy, compassion is important when you're dealing with someone who is dealing with a disease or is dealing with substance abuse or mental health or domestic violence, because women don't speak because of fear of retaliation, or that is a financial support system. The offender will not support them if they were to speak. So it's important for me that I ask pressing questions to these judicial nominees to make sure that they understand that behind that robe, you're a human being, you have experience. Treat those who come before you with compassion. Understand where they're coming from. And the prison to pipeline shouldn't be the first option that you would want to go to when a person is coming into court. When you see their board of probation full of theft, well, this person has a substance abuse issue. They're dealing it by stealing. What can we do to provide this person an opportunity to get the treatment that they need so they can reduce the recidivism from coming back? So I use my life experience as these questions to these nominees. Not only that, I open to my constituents all the time. Send me questions. Send me questions of what you're going through in your personal life or in a family's life that you would like me to ask of these nominees.
But you know what I'm seeing as well, because like I said, I've done my homework on the four of you. There's a thread that themes. There's a theme that's here, and we will hear about it as each one goes. But I also want to just remark, because I'm familiar as an attorney,
Right.
I know that there are specialty courts, and one of them I'll lift up. And when I go to Djuna, because it's part of what her belief system has been, as many of you know, mental health and suicide is that's my ministry.
Right.
That I speak to. In fact, I have my foundation. So therefore, to have judges who are sensitive to that, and they now have a mental health courts
Yes.
in various jurisdictions. So I think you're speaking right to that, Tamisha. And now I'm just going to shift to Djuna for a minute, because I know that she talks about domestic violence. She talks about mental health, breaking the stigma. And you already talked about it from the standpoint of you want to bring to the office of the district attorney in Norfolk County those types of sensibilities and concern for community, even with the case that you mentioned. So talk to us about some of your thoughts on some of these issues that you'd want to bring to bear, Djuna.
Well, I think it's really about, the Governor's Council role, as Tamisha was talking about, it's a tremendous amount of power, because judges are absolutely immune from liability for anything that they do. Similarly, the district attorney is totally in charge of who gets charged with crimes and what crimes they're charged with. And it's a tremendous amount of discretion, and the only recourse that people have who are upset about it are to re-elect to the next election, which is 4 years from then. So that means that the people that we choose for these roles you really have to trust them, especially also because, at least in the case of the district attorney, there's many times when the district attorney can't tell you what's going on. So it's really important that in those moments when the district attorney can't tell you what's going on, that you believe, that you trust that they will have your back. And that means that that life experience and judgment really matters. That's really what the voters are paying for, is my good judgment, and that means I have to have life experience. I have to understand that not everybody gets dealt the same deck of cards when they're born, that everyone that life, despite how fancy things are in the 21st century, that life can still really be hard for people, and that most of us are just trying to get through the day, that there is evil in the world, because I have seen it and I have dealt with it, but most people who commit crimes are making bad decisions on a bad day, And then there's everybody in between. And as far as mental health and substance abuse play a huge role in the criminal justice system. And there are many more creative ways to respond to those and prevent those issues from becoming crimes. So I feel that, you know, the district attorney has certain statutory responsibilities to respond to crime, but the district attorney also has a tremendous amount of soft power to influence and collaborate on programs that have a broader view that will keep a more long-term view that will keep the community safe. And so I, am in favor of anything that goes towards those ends and also empowers victims of crime, because crime, I mean, as we know, many crimes like childhood sexual abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault have incredibly long-term harm, cause incredibly long-term harm. And so anything that allows survivors to feel more empowered, those are all things that we need to explore.
Let me just explore a little bit more the office itself. So I'd like to know in terms of the, because this aspect, in fact, I want to underscore something that you said, which is the power of the district attorney's office. Now, when I first thought about going into practice as lawyer, the only thing I knew was F. Lee Bailey and the good F. Lee Bailey and Perry Mason. And I always thought about wanting to go into criminal law, and in fact, on the prosecutorial side, because I had said that in terms of, I knew that the prosecutorial side controlled the dispositions, well, at least what cases they would bring, et cetera. I know also I'd like you to talk about the office here in terms of number of staff that you control, because it's an employment vehicle as well, but also the district attorney office can use monies that are seized for certain things to be able to help within the community. Can you talk about both of those, and then I want to go on to Charlene.
Sure. So, I mean, the DA's office has about 144 employees, I think, of which about half of them are assistant district attorneys and who are lawyers, and then the other staff members are support staff, victim witness advocates, that's probably the next largest number of employees in terms of category, sometimes civilian investigators. And then in terms of money, the DA's total budget is $14.3 million. Most of that money is salaries, so there's about 2.7 left. And just a little trivia fact, the second trial of Karen Reed cost $1.7 million in direct case expenses. And so that 2.7 that I mentioned before goes for everything, the lights, the utilities, the software, everything that you need, plus direct case expenses. So that was a tremendous amount of money to spend on one case, and that was money that wasn't spent on other incredibly important cases throughout the county. But then as to the forfeiture money, yes, so the DA's office also gets forfeiture money as a result of drugs or money seized or property seized as a result of criminal cases, and they can use those funds to help community programs.
And see, I lifted that up because I want folks to understand we're talking about jobs here too. We're talking about jobs, employment, and all the things we talk about. I don't care what national folks may say about having diversity within their organizations, but these are the positions that we're talking about in all of these places to be able to lift up people in the community, give them opportunities to get employed within the system. So I wanted to make sure that folks understood that they were those opportunities in the district attorney's office, beside being able to solicit for the grants from the forfeiture dollars.
Well, and just another thing to bring up, I mean, the government is us. So if you want justice, then all of us need to participate. So if you don't trust the government and think the government is terrible, we'll get in there and change it. And so apply for those jobs in the government institutions. And because your perspective adds and your skill set adds to any environment you're in.
Well, y'all just give me easy segues.
Right. I was like, yes.
I could leave and just let you have a conversation. I was just here because that's a great segue, because here's Charlene, who said in her introduction the reasons why she thought about, because she wanted to be involved, she wanted to be in the decision making, she wanted to make a difference, have an impact. So Charlene, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the segue. And make a difference and have an impact on everything that you guys are speaking about. I'm also a sexual assault nurse, so I do understand the domestic violence and your mental health. I think that is very prominent inside the schools right now. So as a school committee, like, candidacy, like, how can we embed that a little bit more so students are able to talk freely and be able to express themselves? Because we know that social media is really big, and a lot of the students are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, doing trends, and it's just like they want to be able to speak out, and there's not fun in school. I used to love going to school. When my son comes home, all he talks about, they took out recess in middle school. Can you believe they took out recess in middle school? And that's their main focus. They love the academics, but there's more to just being academic, emotional, social, mental. They want to be able to be free like that. So I think that with me and the age that I am, and I'm still inside the school system, I know how to kind of push that, and I know what the students are looking for. I have direct access at home. I have direct access at the athletics, the sports, so I know what the students want, but I want to make sure that the community is in agreement that we want the best for our students as well.
Well, and that's great because we talked about. Debra made the comments about what we've tried to do here in Stoughton. I was an interim town manager. I served on the town count, the town. What
Town
is
meeting?
it? Town meeting. Town meeting. See, senior moments coming up. In terms of town meeting, trying to address all of these types of issues to support what the select board would bring forward to town meeting on particular issues, and the school committee. Now we know the schools really, much to my chagrin when I was here, was they have a whole separate process which really isn't controlled within the town meeting process. They just bring their budget and it's up or down. So you're empowered very much so in the school committee, and where there was a collaboration was around what we wanted to do for our high school, which we were able to build. This discussion around the middle school. So all of these things are woven together in order to make it done. So we bring you to the power in the town, and that's the select board.
Yes, that's right.
The select board, and they, and as Debra said, this is her third term, a 3-year term that she's vying for at the present time. So Debra, let's talk about some of the initiative. I read what you had, I read your piece that you put in the Stoughton Shopper.
Okay.
Of the things that you have done. Some of them you've already commented about, but let's drill down a little bit more as to some of the things and that you have done and participated in, which would be beneficial for our folks here in Stoughton.
Okay. Thank you so very much for asking that question. But I would like to first make a comment of how the select board works with each and every one of the people that are here, of the positions that are here. Top of the line is working collaboratively, working together. So first, let's define what a select board does. A select board primary job is a policymaker. We make policy, and it's up to the town manager. He's the COO, I would say, in the private sector, the COO. So the town manager executes or implements all of the policies in the operation. The select board also, we are the commissioners of the street, sewer, trash, and we hire the top ranking, highest paid, typically, department heads within the town, and that is town manager, chief of police, fire chief, director of assessing, clerk, town clerk, right. So that, just to put it in scope what we do, and to actually say how we work and why we would work with all these different positions. The school committee and the school budget is the largest budget within the municipal budget. So within the last 6 years, we have worked very collaboratively with the school committee to get things done. And I was so happy to meet Charlene. Also, we started with the select board. I was the spearhead of that, which is the Student Equal Opportunity Committee, which boots on the ground, working with Tamisha. Tamisha, what do you think is missing? How we get things done? What are some outliers? Where are the needs on the policy? Doing things like that. So I have a direct working relationship with Tamisha and the school, and I'm glad to see you on, signing up to come on board. And I just want to say this one last thing is the Student Equal Opportunity Committee, we presented in front of town meeting at this last annual town meeting to have Student Equal Opportunity Committee become a standing committee within the bylaws of the town. And it was expanded to have appointments made by the school committee. And it's so important to have someone in the seat at the table at the school committee that's going to be in favor of that direction. And Miss Charlene talked about equality and mental health, doing right. Well, on the select board, we can't dig deep into what's going on at the school. But having like values, it's okay to disagree with something, but the basis, the ground floor should be, do you believe in equality and looking out for people, their mental health, and do what you can do to move forward. So I just wanted to say that about how the school committee would relate with the select board and the Student Equal Opportunity Committee that is, because it was sanctioned by the Attorney General Office and town meeting, is a standing committee. It's very important with each and one of the ideas and the concepts that were brought in today's interview.
Well, I'm happy to see and hear that the interrelationship between the school committee and the board of select. Well, I should call it the board of select persons, but select board. But because that has not always been the case.
No, it has not.
That has always been the case, and
has
created friction within this town.
Right.
In terms, because it was a separation, and I think we came together around the building of the high school. I think that initiated that. But I want to be a little bit provocative here.
Okay, go ahead.
Go with it. You know that's against my nature. You know that. Because I want each of you to talk about, you served in a position as a governor's council member. You're vying to become the district attorney in Norfolk County. Charlene, you were vying to become a member of the school committee here in Stoughton. Debra, you're talking about your third term. I want you to tell me about something you would want to initiate. If you continue in that position, if you get the positions, what are some of the things that you've looked at that you would like to see change if you were given the opportunity to be there? And so we have persons who are already in the position. There got to be some things that, I know when I sat there as interim town manager, I would say to the select board, I think that our downtown is ugly. In terms of what are you going to be doing about beautification? We've talked about doing something with the post office and moving that and some development in here. So those are the types of issues. I can talk to some things about the school. We used to have the organization that I know Angela Motley and others used to have, working with students of color. I don't know if that still exists and that still
scholars.
goes on.
That's what,
That's right. So all of these types of things we want to see. So Tamisha, I'm going to start with you. Right here, Governor's Council. You sat there. I'm sure you've seen things you like, things that you don't like. So if you're reelected, what are some of the things that you may want to see happen going forward? And I would say for you, Djuna, I could be quiet, and then Charlene, and then to Debra.
I would say for me would be collaborating with colleges and universities into research as far as how our judicial system in Massachusetts is doing, and what are some of the data, the recidivism, what are some of the crimes that we can look at to make sure that we're not overpopulating our prison or correctional facilities, and how we can make sure that we have enough resources to help people to get the help that they need, instead of just looking at jail. I know that there's other countries that have different practices on how they work their judicial system, and I would love to know what that is, to see if we can emulate that in Massachusetts, but also collaborating with other agencies like the police department, like the juvenile detention. I think our youth right now, being exposed to what's happening into this country, mental health is a great component of what can happen if we do not make sure that we're active in our political system, but also being in positions where we can make the change that we want to see. So I would love to collaborate with universities and college and do some deep research as to what can we do to make our judicial system in Massachusetts more effective.
And let me just point out to our viewing audience, as far as incarceration, United States incarcerates more people than any other country in the world. So that's part of that conversation that you're having. How can we that birth the prison pipeline? How can we intersect and possibly reduce that type of incarceration rate, as well as recidivism, for sure? Djuna?
So there's so many things, but I think that probably the thing that is most crucial is to restore the trust and integrity of the office. Because of the Karen Reed case, because of the Sandra Birchmore case, because of many other cases I've been hearing about in the last 18 months of the campaign, the community has completely lost trust in that office, and I think we deserve to have justice, and so that the office really needs to be rebuilt. One way of doing that, so when I start, I will do a complete overhaul of the office, reviewing all policies and procedures and prosecutions. Everybody will get re-interviewed. Anyone, and there may well be people who are perfectly good and they just need better leadership. And if so, they're welcome to stay. But if they are not, or if they're not ready to work up to the high standards that I'll be setting for professionalism and integrity, then they should find someplace else to go. Also, all of the troopers who worked under Sergeant Buchanan, I would ask them to be reassigned. Every DA's office has a unit of state police who are assigned to the office, and I think because of the Karen Reed case, all of those who worked there at that time should not be there anymore. And so it's publishing prosecution statistics on the website. So part of transparency is being as transparent as you can when you can. Publishing prosecution statistics on the website, publishing officer-involved shooting reports on the website. There's many other things in that category, but I just want to give a quick mention of something else that I think is a real concern that I want to work on, which is sexual exploitation at school. So there's so much going on in schools with sexting and sexual harassment by text, cyberbullying by text involving sexual material too. I think that I would like to work more closely with the school departments and the police departments on that.
Now, did you and Charlene have
did
have
not.
this all planned that you are going to sit next to each other and do the segue that way? But Charlene.
So my goal is always for educational excellence, and I know that's a part of the district's mission. And how we get there is the important part and the action items. So for me, it's always reading is fundamental. So I would love a books and beyond. So it's like a reading kind of scape. It's a game that you play. You can do it through across the city with all different types, elementary school, middle school, high school. And you read a book, and whoever gets the furthest, you get a prize. I did it in my elementary school. It was very comforting, and it was fun. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the fun part. But I also want to introduce HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. So a nice college fair with vocational opportunities, because all of our students are not college wanting to go. They have other things. It's so innovative now in school. Like, they're thinking outside of the box, things that I've never even thought about before. They want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be content creators and stuff like that. So giving them the opportunity to talk to college students from an HBCU perspective, also predominantly white institutions as well. And I think if we have that fair, and I think they have that at the Stoughton High School, I'm not sure, I haven't seen it promoted as widely, but we can start in middle school. We don't have to wait for high school for these people to come in and have a talk and speak with them, to tell them about real life things. Because my son, as I always go back to, he always asks me, he's like, how come school doesn't teach you about real life?
Right.
Is that something I learned on my own? So being able to give them real life, I said, well, you learn it as you go. School has a curriculum that they follow. They're not really necessarily there to teach you about it. But if they just hear experience about how you made it, if you can come speak, and you can come speak, like this whole panel to speak to the kids, they will really love that. Because then they feel like there's an opportunity for them. Me running right now, this is something new for me, but I'm teachable. Yeah. I love to learn. You can educate me. I love to partnership. But, that's what these kids are looking for, too. They want us to partner with them. They don't want to be left out there alone. So.
Yeah, and it's again, y'all are just wonderful in terms of passing the baton on. Using my track and field metaphor, the relay team here in terms of passing it on. But I want to come back to to that school situation I mentioned with Elise Lamont and with
Yes.
Angela Motley. That the name of the program you mentioned,
Fruition Scholars.
Fruition Scholars, was exactly that, Charlene, where I came and I spoke to the students that were there. So I think that those life experiences are important for have outside speakers to come in and speak to, like this panel members, that you can be on the governor's council, you can run for and be the district attorney, you can serve on the select board, you can be involved in your town, etc. Young folks need to understand that, and I think that you're absolutely correct. We can do that. And I know that Debra, through her Martin Luther King events and other things, are providing some of those vehicles for that. So let's talk about, you're now looking to go into your third 3-year term.
Yes.
What is something that would be on your agenda if you're reelected?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because a lot of you hit on some of the things that are very important to me, but since I have a laundry list of things that I want to accomplish in this next term, I'm going to start talking about those. One is, first, I want to level set. Stoughton sometimes has a bad reputation based on what a small group of people do, like the Sandra Birchmore case, right? That does not define everyone else. The acts of a small group doesn't define the whole. I love Stoughton, I believe in Stoughton, and I love the culture, the legacy of Stoughton, and I like the modernization. So if we talk about that, and we talk about from a business aspect, that would be capital planning, strategic planning. How do we move Stoughton forward in a fiscally responsible way? That's step one that I would like to continue. And we look at the industrial park that's over by Turnpike Street. That's going to bring in roughly $5 million. So, point two is I want to do things or grow the town that it's not on the backs of the citizens, the taxpayers of the citizens of the town of Stoughton, like we did with the new South Elementary School, the way we positioned that, or how we renovated what was called the old train station, and now it's our community center, right? It got renovated. I also want to be mindful, and as I talk about capital planning, I want the citizens of Stoughton to know that tax rates have been going down consistently for the last 6 years since I've been on the select board, and that's working collaboratively, that's having my finance background to make that happen. So you're saying, wait a minute, Deborah, I still see my tax bills or property tax bills going up. That's because there are two components. It's the residential tax rate and it's the property valuation. One, I can control, and I have controlled it for the last 6 years. Residential tax rates have gone down. The other piece, or the other variable, is the property valuation. That's going up, so it's an inverse direction. That's something I cannot control, the property valuation. So it's doing things like that. It is facts are friendly, talking real talk, leading with the facts. And how would I do that? It's community engagement. Community engagement means making sure the town's website is updated with who's on the boards, what are their names, what do they look like, how can you reach them, what are the facts that are going on, like with the trash that's very controversial now. Before it was 911, before it was the South Elementary School. We'll always have something that's
correct.
a big deal that we have to address. We have to be in the forefront and have people, leadership that's strong. We can state the facts. All is not going to be roses, right? But facts are friendly. So that's what I want to do. I want to build in a fiscally responsible manner. I want to make sure the facts and transparency is an opportunity for people to have information sessions. That's another thing. Since I've been on the board and we hired our new town manager, Tom Coulter, we have more information sessions that people can come together and say, I heard, or that's not true. I've been here since the beginning of time. No, today, these are the facts. Facts are friendly. And now what do you have to say? Can we move forward with the idea?
Well, that has, I want to thank all of you for that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an opportunity to be able to say, okay, fine, this is a nice conversation. People see how intelligent and involved and engaged you are. I'm going to give you the last word on that. I'm going to start over there. 1 minute, and I will do this in terms of say, why should somebody support you for the select board? Why should somebody support you for the school committee? Why should someone support you for the Norfolk County District Attorney? And why should folks support you going back to the Governor's Council? Your minute, Deborah.
Thank you very much. 1 minute. To the residents of the town of Stoughton, I ask for your vote. I humbly ask for re-election to the Stoughton Select Board because I have a proven track record that no one else has that is running, that I have accomplished a number of things, which is keeping the tax rate down, which is looking for opportunities that's not always on the backs of the citizens, the residents of the town of Stoughton. I listen to you. I want to keep the culture and the legacy of Stoughton while being progressive. We are a service organization. We are in the business of providing a service, and we want to continue that business of providing a service that you are paying for that is top notch. Also,
but thank you there. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Thank you very much, Ms. Hollins.
I want Stoughton to vote for me as a school committee because I am a leader. I am an authentic leader. I'm innovative. I'm right on the level with the children, knowing what the insight is because I'm a parent with the kids. And I am going to push forward my best one voice. That's all of us together as a community. One night. That's every night that's in this building, and then every student. So I definitely will push forward, and your education will still be top tier.
Thank you very
You're
much,
welcome.
Ms. Hollins. Okay, Ms. Perkins.
Thank you so much. So I want to ask the citizens of Stoughton for their vote for district attorney on September 1st because I want to restore integrity and trust in the district attorney's office. I have 33 years of experience working with victims of crime. I have a lived experience that contributes to my judgment. I grew up very poor. My mother died by suicide when I was a newborn baby. 4 months later, my father was stabbed in a riot. And I have several members of my family who've been on both sides of the criminal justice system and with substance abuse issues and mental health disorders. I am the only candidate in the race with significant experience in domestic violence and sexual assault, which forms most of the most complex crimes we see. And for all those reasons, I am the most qualified candidate in the race, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. And now, Ms. Civil.
Thank you, thank you. As a mom, as a resident of Stoughton, as a community leader, as an active member of this community, I humbly ask for your vote. We need accountability, we need equity, we need transparency, and I have given that to the town of Stoughton from day one. I've never left. I'm continue to serve the next generation as well as the citizens of Stoughton. We will be the narrative. We will make the decision of how people look at Stoughton. And I'm here to make sure that Stoughton is represented in a positive light with dignity, with empathy. And I humbly again ask for your vote, and I will continue to serve as long as I'm here. Thank you.
Well, to our viewing audience, I just want to say to you, you have just heard from 4 dynamic women running for diverse offices here within the county as well as within the town of Stoughton. This is your opportunity to go out, because one of the things that we have to do if we're going to effectuate change is not only, you can run for elective office, yes, but our job, if we're not going to run for elective office, is to be knowledgeable and to participate in the voting for these individuals. So I invite you to look at their platforms, understand what their platforms are, support them in whichever way. I'm sure that they would be desirous of your financial contributions. They would be desirous of you signing their papers for nominations. They would be help with what your help in doing the standouts that they have, holding the signs, putting lawn signs in your at your properties. So I'm not going to say to you that you must vote for these individuals here. I can say on a personal note, do support them. But that's not what this station SMAC does. This is Joseph Fisher speaking. So I just say to you, look at all the candidates, look at these 4. I want to thank all of you for being here with me, for being so knowledgeable and presenting to our persons here within the county and within Stoughton. So I want to say thank you, and I'll bid you adieu.